My name is Zhao Dezhu and I am the only college student in our village this year. When I got into college, my parents were in a good mood and rewarded me with a cell phone. After the notification letter came down, I went to a certain posting bar and found my school's new student group. Not long after entering the group, a friend request popped up on the cell phone page. The other party is a woman, avatar looks like a selfie, very pure and beautiful. I went into the other side of the dynamic to see a little, sure that the avatar is myself. And it shows that the other party is through the freshman group to add me, thinking that maybe my sister or classmates and so on. So I passed her friend request without even thinking about it. I was still thinking about what to send to be polite. The other party immediately sent me a lot of photos. And I most let my blood rushing is that straight and slender thighs covered with thin socks, a look like those who love to make dirty jokes about male classmates said, touch will be very comfortable. I have been a good boy since I was a child, living a life of 2 years do not hear outside the window, and only read the holy books, grow up so big or the first time to see a girl so revealing photos. I immediately blushed. I wanted to remind her that the photo was sent to the wrong person, but I didn't know where to start. I was still typing when my hands were tapping on the keyboard. When I was in a difficult situation, the other party seemed to realize that she had sent to the wrong person, and began to withdraw the photos, but the first photo in socks could not be withdrawn because of the timeout. She sent me a message saying, sorry, little handsome, this photo I want to send to my girlfriends, just accidentally sent to you by mistake. When I saw this message, my heart cooled down immediately. I slowly typed, it's okay, I'll delete the photo that you couldn't undo. The other party replied, yes, little handsome, you're too sweet. I moved my finger to the photo in the screen, obviously I wanted to delete it, but my finger seemed to be uncontrollable and clicked save. When I saw the successful save sign, I woke up like a dream, and my heart skipped a few beats. I wanted to delete it, but when I saw such a beautiful photo, I couldn't do it. I comforted myself by saying, it's just a photo, it's okay to save it. She won't know anyway, as long as I say delete it. I came back to my senses, my fingers hovering over the keyboard, hesitating for a while. Finally, I tapped out a line, I've deleted it, may I ask what you're adding me for? She replied in a second, yeah. If you don't tell me, I've forgotten. Formal acquaintance, young handsome, my name is Bai Mingye, is your school sister, about the school what want to ask, what do not understand can come to ask me oh. Her reply carried a bit of playfulness that made me can't help but raise the corners of my mouth. Through the screen I could imagine a girl with spring waves in her eyes and a hot body typing in front of her cell phone. Thinking about the photo I just saved, a restlessness rose within me. Such a high-quality charismatic girl, even if she is not my schoolmate, in life, I should also take the initiative to ask for a contact when I see it. As the chat deepens, my understanding of her gradually increases, each new piece of information is like unlocking a new world. The fact that she was a dance student made me think of her graceful body and agile steps as she danced on stage. I tried to include something about dance in the conversation, hoping to bring us closer together. The life of a dance student must be wonderful, flying freely in music and rhythm every day. She seemed interested in the topic and quickly replied, yes, dance is a way for me to express myself, and every time I dance it gives me an overwhelming sense of freedom and joy. I took the opportunity to make a suggestion, if there's a chance, senior sister, I'd love to see you perform and feel that atmosphere of freedom and joy too. She sent me a smiley face emoticon, sure, I'll let you know next time there's a performance. You must come then. A thrill went through me, as if I could already see her tantalizing body twirling and jumping in front of me. I couldn't help but demanded, sister, if I say that I want to see you dance right now, is that okay? She, however, didn't reply to my message for half a day, making me realize that I seemed to have been a bit presumptuous. I was chagrined at how I spoke without thinking, and whether my senior sister would have a bad impression of me. At this moment, she sent over a string of messages, yes, I just went to put on my dance clothes, is it convenient for us to have a video now? My heartbeat instantly accelerated, I didn't expect her to actually agree to my request. I hurriedly checked my image to make sure everything looked presentable. Then, I took a deep breath and replied, of course it's convenient, I'm always ready. A few seconds later, her video request appeared on my phone screen. I clicked accept and her skin-like face immediately filled the screen. I could see that she had indeed changed into her dance attire, which emphasized her delicate figure just right. "Ready? I'm going to start," she said, a confident smile tugging at the corners of her mouth. The music started and she began to dance to the melody. Her movements looked fluid and powerful, every turn and every jump full of strength and beauty. I could hardly take my eyes off her. Every movement she made seemed to have magic power, attracting all my attention. After the dance, she sat in front of the camera and I tried to control my breathing, trying not to let my voice reveal too much longing. I whispered, "Sister, your dance was so beautiful, I've never seen such a moving dance before." A satisfied smile appeared on her face as she heard my praise, but then she lowered her head a little shyly. "Thank you, actually I rarely dance in front of others, especially through videos. But if it's you, I feel honored." Her words made my heart rise, and I felt an inexplicable heat spreading from my chest, my heart racing and my breathing becoming rapid. I tried to keep my composure, but still I was almost afraid to look up into her eyes, my throat so dry that I could barely speak. "Ha! Sister, when you say that, do you mean you're teasing me?" Although I'm a boy who hasn't been in love yet, I more or less know what a sign of affection from the opposite sex means. "That's right, Junior, are you just reacting now?" Baimenga's delicate voice came from the screen. I felt a wave of heat hit my cheeks and my heart thumped as if it was about to pop out of my chest. I finally gathered my courage and raised my head to meet her gaze, those bright eyes full of teasing and flirtation. "Senior sister, you're kidding, right?" I stammered, trying to hide my panic. Baimenga let out a light laugh. Her laugh was crisp and pleasant, but carried a bit of unquestionable seriousness. "Junior, I'm not joking, right? Could it be that you don't like me, school brother?" "No, it's not that, Senior, I just kind of can't believe it." I hurriedly defended myself with a hint of panic in my voice. "Senior sister is so beautiful and excellent, how could I not like senior sister?" After saying that, my face immediately turned red. Baimenga looked at my embarrassment, and the smile at the corner of her mouth became even more intense. "Schoolmate, what's wrong with you?" Her voice interrupted my reverie, and I snapped back to my senses, only to realize that my gesture had already been taken in by her. I smiled awkwardly, trying to hide my panic. "No. It's nothing, Hokage, I just think you're really beautiful." My voice got smaller and smaller, and in the end it almost turned into a murmur. When Baimenga heard my praise, the smile on her delicate and moving face became even brighter. She gently removed her foot from the toy, like a siren that compels the hearts of the people in the sea. Her voice seductive with teasing said, "Primary school brother, I still have even more beautiful. Do you want to see it all?" Hearing this, I couldn't help but also become short of breath. Every word of Baimenga was like a whisper in my ear, carrying an irresistible charm. As I looked at her, her eyes shone with a mysterious and tantalizing light, making it impossible for me to look away. "Senior sister, what are you talking about?" I stammered and asked, my voice revealing a hint of longing and unease. Baimenga laughed softly, her laughter as pleasant as a silver bell, yet with a hint of inscrutable mystery. "Elementary school brother, why are you so nervous? It's not like I'm going to eat you." Her words carried a hint of teasing. I took a deep breath and restrained my own surging desire and lust. "Sister, your charm is just too great, I'm afraid I can't control myself," I said half-jokingly, trying to cover up my nervousness with a light-hearted tone. Baimenga laughed softly at my words, her laughter as pleasant as a mountain stream. "Little brother, have you ever thought about the fact that you don't have to control yourself? What you want, senior sister can promise you accordingly, my instructions you have to do When I heard Baimenga's words, my heart was shaken. Her proposal was like an irresistible temptation, making me both excited and a little overwhelmed. There was a challenging glint in her eyes, as if she was testing my courage and determination. "Sister, what do you mean?" I tried to confirm her intentions, and at the same time, I wanted to give myself a little time to digest this sudden invitation. Baimenga suddenly approached the camera. "That's right, Junior, I'm just saying that you can completely let yourself go and don't have to repress your desires. As long as you are willing to follow my instructions, I will fulfill your desires. Her voice was coquettish and seductive, every word was like a whisper in my ear, making it irresistible. I felt my heart beat faster, my blood boiling inside me, and the thought of the living colorful images I would see later on made me unable to say no. Sister, I'm willing to accept your conditions. I finally mustered up the courage to speak out my decision. When Bai Meng'er heard my answer, the corner of her mouth curved up in a satisfied arc. Very good, Junior, to reward you for being so well behaved, I'll just do a simple command. Oh. You'll enjoy it. Her voice sounded playful and cute. When I heard Bai Meng'er's words, a wave of anticipation couldn't help but rise in my heart. Senior sister, I'll follow your instructions. I tried my best to make my voice sound firm, but the excitement in my heart was hard to hide. Bai Meng'er smiled ambiguously, then slowly said, Elementary school brother, my instructions are very simple, but they are full of benefits, whether or not you can catch them, it's up to you. First of all, as long as you take off a piece of clothing, I will also follow you to take off a corresponding part of the clothes. The choice of where you want to look is entirely in your hands. Even if you want to see my bottom, if you take it off for me, I'll take it off for you. Do you still want to see it? I was completely attracted by this tempting offer, and without thinking, I agreed, sister, I want to see it. The smile under Bai Meng'er's eyes became even more obscure, then slowly stretched out her hand. Then, junior brother, let us begin. I followed her instructions, and I immediately took off my top, revealing my chest. Along with my movements, Bai Meng'er also synchronized herself by removing the large V-neck leotard she was wearing, revealing the sexy lace lingerie inside. Elementary school brother, next, where do you want to look? She said, removing the last layer of her covering, allowing me to see that she had something there that was incredibly familiar to me, and bigger than me. I stood in shock as the sight before me made me completely lose my ability to speak. After reacting, I quickly got dressed, trying to hide my embarrassment and panic. My heart was beating so violently that it was almost beating out of my chest. I felt my cheeks burning with a mixture of shame and anger. I could never have imagined that it would be such a light. In that moment, I realized that I should have fallen into a huge trap. Who are you? Why are you doing this? I tried my best to make my voice sound calm, even though waves had already been raging inside. White Dreamer, or the one disguised as a female, had a wry smile on her face. It doesn't matter who I am, what matters is that I videotaped you just now. If you don't want your family and friends to see you naked, you'd better be good and listen to me. My heart sank to the bottom as I realized that not only was I being lied to, but I could be facing even more trouble. How much do you want? I asked, desperation revealing itself in my voice. He laughed and quoted a number, one that was almost astronomical for someone like me who had just gotten into college. I felt a wave of vertigo, knowing that I would never be able to come up with that much money. But I knew that if I didn't do as I was told, the consequences would be unimaginable. How do I know if you'll take the money and then continue to threaten me? I asked, trying to figure out where he was breaking. He shrugged, looking unconcerned. You have no choice but to trust me. Of course, you could try to call the police, but then your video would immediately go all over the internet. I took a deep breath and forced myself to calm down. I knew that I needed time to think, to find a way to protect myself and get rid of this demon at the same time. Give me some time, I need to raise the money. I tried to look as submissive as possible so as not to anger him. He nodded, seemingly satisfied with my answer. Okay, I'll give you 3 days. In 3 days, I want to see the money or suffer the consequences. After saying that, he hung up the video of his own accord. I put down my cell phone, and an unspeakable anxiety welled up in my heart. The air in the room seemed to freeze, and I felt a sense of oppression that I had never felt before. I knew that I couldn't just sit around and wait for it to happen, but I didn't know what to do. I stood up and paced back and forth across the room, trying to calm the panic inside me. I thought about my family, about my friends, they were all an integral part of my life. If that person pretending to be Bai Meng'er really made the video public, I would lose not only my dignity, but also their trust and love for me. I couldn't allow that to happen. I took a deep breath, forced myself to calm down, and began to think of countermeasures. My first thought was to call the police, but then dismissed the idea. Without enough evidence, the police might not be able to take immediate action, and the other party might make the video public as soon as they spooked me. I sat down at my desk, spread out my pen and paper, and began to list all the possible solutions I could think of. First, I needed to confirm the blackmailer's true intentions. Perhaps I could try to maneuver around him and stall for time. Secondly, I had to look for any possible help, either financial or informational. I started recalling the details of the whole incident and tried to find a breakthrough in it. I thought of his behavioral patterns, of his possible weaknesses. Suddenly, a thought flashed through my mind: if I could turn the tables and find out who he really was, I might be able to turn the situation around. I decided to start with his social media accounts. I recalled some of the information he had inadvertently revealed in his previous communication with me, including his hobbies, common vocabulary, and so on. I started searching on the internet, using these clues to track down. After some effort, I finally found an account that was suspected to be his real identity. I carefully analyzed the account suspected to be his real identity, not sparing every detail, from the dynamics he posted, the tone of his comments to his interactions with other people. I found his transaction records, those seemingly normal transactions behind the hidden unknown secrets: a sum of money of unknown origin, a vague receipt. I even found some of his communication records with his accomplices, and those conversations full of innuendo made me even more convinced that he was not just a simple crook, but probably also a member of a fraud gang. Seeing all this evidence, I realized that this was not something that could be solved by my strength alone, so I decided to take action. I anonymously filed a detailed report with the police, attaching all the information and evidence I had gathered. I knew that this could be my only turnaround and the most powerful strike against him. On the following day, I secretly contacted the police and told them exactly what had happened to me, describing every detail as clearly as possible. The officers listened patiently, asking questions from time to time to make sure they had a full understanding of the whole incident. After hearing my account, the officers did not give an immediate response for a while, but were silent for a while. Afterwards, an older police officer opened his mouth and said to me in a serious tone, "Young man, the cyber world is complicated and volatile. You meet with candor and honesty, but she tries to be poor. A gentleman is prudent and does not deceive. The dark room, mean to shepherd himself, contain the chapter can be chaste. We must always be vigilant and not trust others. What happened to you is unfortunate, but it is a profound lesson. I hope you can be more careful in the future to avoid falling into a similar predicament again." I nodded, taking his teachings to heart. Then, the officer came up with a plan, hoping that I could assist the police and bring this criminal gang to an end. They needed someone to be the bait to lure the criminals to show themselves. I hesitated for a while, but thinking that it was for the sake of justice and to protect other people from being cheated again, I finally agreed. The police made a detailed plan for me and ensured my safety. Following the police's instructions, I contacted the man pretending to be Bai Menger again and pretended to be willing to pay the ransom. He really took the bait and agreed on a time and place for the transaction. On that day, I arrived at the transaction location as planned, surrounded by police plainclothes. When I handed him the bag containing the counterfeit notes, there was a glint of greed in his eyes. However, the moment he took the bag, the police officers ambushed around him quickly struck and subdued him. With the man pretending to be Bai Menger subdued, the surrounding plainclothes policemen quickly gathered around, forming an impenetrable line of defense. Their actions were swift and orderly, obviously carefully planned and trained. I stood on the sidelines, watching the scene with a mixture of nervousness and relief. The police immediately escorted the suspects to the police car, while the scene was tightly blocked and surveyed. I was taken aside by a police officer who thanked me and told me that the next operation would be even more critical. Under the command of the police, I was put into an inconspicuous vehicle and followed the police convoy to the den of the criminal gang. Along the way, I could feel the tension in the police, as everyone was silently preparing for the upcoming battle. Upon arrival at the den, the police quickly launched a raid. Utilizing intelligence obtained in advance, they pinpointed the location of each criminal. After a short period of confusion, the criminals were subdued without causing any casualties. I was listening to the progress of the operation through the radio in the car, and my heart was filled with admiration. The efficiency and professionalism of the police made me deeply feel how difficult it was for them, and also gave me a deeper understanding of the power of the law. With the last criminal arrested, the police began a thorough search of the den. They found a large number of tools of the trade in all corners of the room, including forged identity documents, electronic devices, and notebooks with information about the victims. This evidence will provide a solid foundation for the trial of the case. Accompanied by the police, I also entered the den and saw the tools and information that had once plunged me into despair. I felt a wave of nausea, but also a sense of relief. I knew that it was over and that the criminal gangs would never again have the opportunity to harm anyone else. The police then took me into the station for a detailed statement to record my testimony. Throughout the process they maintained a professional attitude and gave me the necessary protection and support. As the statement was completed, I felt a wave of relief that I had never felt before. The atmosphere in the police station was serious and organized, and every police officer was busy with their own work, but they always treated me with respect and care. This combination of professionalism and humanity put me at ease. After the statement was completed, the police officer in charge of the case explained to me in detail the follow-up process of the case. They will scrutinize and analyze all the evidence collected to ensure that each allegation is well-founded. At the same time, he also reminded me that as a witness in the case, I might need to testify in court at some time in the future. The officer also made it a point to emphasize my safety and that they would be keeping a close eye on me to prevent any possible retaliation from occurring. In addition, the police would keep in touch with me, updating me on the progress of the case and providing me with the necessary support as and when I needed it. Before leaving the police station, I also received a brief legal education on my rights and obligations. By doing so, the police hoped that I would have a better understanding of the entire judicial process and reduce my anxiety and uneasiness when I face the court in the future. When I walked out of the police station and set foot on the road home, my heart was filled with mixed emotions. On the one hand, I felt apprehensive about the upcoming legal proceedings, and on the other hand, I was proud of my bravery and perseverance. I know that although this experience has given me a great shock, it has also made me stronger and more mature. It has made me no longer that ignorant, impulsive young man. I have grown into a more mature and sensible individual. I have learned to stand up from my mistakes and fix them with real action. In the days to come, I will follow the police's advice and keep a low profile, while also actively adjusting my mindset in preparation for a possible court trial. I believe that justice will eventually be served and those who have tried to harm me will be duly punished.